an ex-cop preyed on a 15-year-old child while he was a cop. Let's put up his picture, full mass here. A former New Orleans police officer who had a history of behavioral complaints pleaded guilty to assaulting a 15-year-old crime victim. I'm gonna give you background on Rodney Vicknair. Rodney was a cop dispatched to help a 14-year-old victim of sexual assault. After months of grooming this victim, he would then go on to sexually assault said victim himself. After complaints were made to 2 agencies, Officer Vicknair was arrested and charged with sexual battery, indecent behavior with a juvenile, and malfeasance in office. Vicknair is scheduled to be sentenced in March. Let me give you background to this. Vicknair, who is a 13-year police veteran, a 13-year veteran of the New Orleans Police Department, was dispatched to a girl's home to drive her, accompanied by her mother, to a children's hospital in New Orleans. This was for a forensic medical examination. In the waiting room, Officer Vicknair showed the girl photos of another girl posing in bikinis and lingerie, who he said was his 16-year-old daughter. The grooming process for his own sexual perversion started while the child was getting an examination from the sexual assault. There's more. After the hospital visit, Officer Vicknair remained near constant presence in the girl's life. The lawsuit claims that from June through September 2022, he called the girl almost every day, frequently visited her at home, asked that she meet him outside in his car under the pretense of acting as her mentor. During those 4 months, he bragged about committing acts of violence, joked about how he could kill her loved ones, and repeatedly described sexual acts he would like to engage in with the child. Officer Vicknair solicited sexual acts, which she declined, and asked her to send him nude photos, which he displayed as the lock screen of his cell phone, the lawsuit says. Twice, he exposed his genitals to her over FaceTime, it says. The lawsuit says he groped her multiple times, including once when he entered her home at night and shined a flashlight in her face to wake her up. On 2 occasions, he used his fingers to sexually assault her while in his police vehicle. Once its doors were locked, the lawsuit says. Both times he was armed with his gun. Let me give you background to the misconduct that already existed before these complaints were alleged against this dirty ass cop. Vicknair was a bad choice to send to assist a child victim of rape because he was not a member of the police department special victims unit or child abuse unit, a requirement under New Orleans Police Department policy. They created the policy, they decided to violate it. And he also had a history of complaints involving allegations of unprofessional and even illegal conduct, some of which included predatory behavior toward women. Now, what did the department do? Nothing, not a damn thing. They allowed him to remain an officer, put him in front of individuals that he posed a danger and threat to, and had no issue with it whatsoever. Violated their own policies to put someone like him in positions like that to victimize children in their own community. That's what the cops did. The police did that, all right? Protect and serve my ass. In one case, he used police equipment to use a woman's license plate to obtain personal information and called her name in a grocery store parking lot. He received 5 days of suspension and a letter of reprimand for this offense. A year after the letter of reprimand was issued, the lawsuit says, Vicknair was promoted to a mentor position for new recruits. Put up the superintendent, the chief and superintendent. Sean Ferguson has held this position since 2019. Now let me say this, okay? If a police department is not concerned with the health and the well-being of a child in their community, that police department is corrupt to its core. Corrupt to its core. Now you could talk about how there are more good cops than bad cops, fine. You believe that, you believe that. But damn it, how in the hell does this guy have so many complaints on record? On record. Getting positions of authority, positions of mentorship to children, and he's literally sexually harassing women in that local community, utilizing police equipment to do so. And you give him positions of even more trust. What does he have on you, Chief? What does he have on you, Captain, Sergeant, whoever in the hell signed off on this? What does he have on y'all? That's a relevant question. And until you answer that question or show me clearly that there's a distinction between you and this piece of you know what, you will be clumped into the same narrative, and rightfully so. All right, just some thoughts here.
I think a lot of people have a misconception about what the nature of a sexual crime is, like rape or sexual assault, and that it's a crime of someone who wants to have sex with someone who doesn't want to have sex with them. But in reality, it is a violent crime of exerting your will on somebody. It is not like a crime of sexuality, it is a crime of power. So we see that here with all of the compiling circumstances of his actions. He's sexually assaulting her while he's in his police car, a symbol of power, which undermines her ability to verbalize consent. It undermines her ability to get out of the situation. Forget the fact that he's already a police officer, is always going to be in a position of power. Yep. He's an adult, she's a minor, is always going to be in a position of power. But he's wearing his gun when he's doing it. It's about exerting his will over someone who he has taken control away from, and that kind of action is accepted and encouraged in law enforcement, in these corrupt law enforcement, in these corrupt police departments, which is why we see him not just be able to get away with this essentially with impunity, but to get promoted. And he can be suspended for 5 days, but then come back and get promoted into a mentorship position where he is directly engaging with inferior officers who might be women, despite him being a sexual harasser, a known sexual harasser, where he has a position in the community where he is engaging directly with people who could be vulnerable. So it's really just symbolic more so of the deep issues within law enforcement in this country.
Yeah, very sad, well said. Unfortunately, we will be reporting on something like this again in the future.